What's going on, everybody? I'm Quest for Nostalgia. I'm a YouTube content creator and I stream variety games over on Twitch. In this video, I'm going to talk about how I finished the White Ranger helmet. I did a video about 3D print orientation and how I printed this helmet out, but this one's really going to be about how to finish it, all the sanding processes, my different levels of sanding paper, my paints that I use, how I did the visor, how I attached this thing to make it wearable, and all of those good things. So if you want to see how I finished this project, stay tuned and watch, and hope you learn some things. Let's get into the video and let's see how I made this and help you guys learn how to make your own. The first step that I do is 80 grit. So I take the whole helmet and I go down with an 80 grit. Sometimes I use the detail sander on big smooth things, so like that back plate really is easy to go over with the entire thing with the detail sander. You can do the edges, the outside edges of the helmet, but then when it comes down to doing things like the grill and the details, I then either use a sponge with the 80 grit on there to really get into those grooves, or I'll just go take the sandpaper itself and then get in there and go through that. So 80 grit really knocks down those layer lines really fast. After the 80 grit, we do filler primer. So filler primer is my first defense about layer lines as well. So the 80 grit does a great job of knocking it down. I hit the filler primer on there. I spray top down. You'll see there's still a lot of overspray. I have a spray booth-ish thing where I'm going to be building a new one, but that's just pretty much poster board that I'm spraying in on there, so it does have some overspray. But you can be messy with this one. This one I wanted to make sure it was in all the nooks and crannies. There's so many different edges with the details of the White Ranger, so I was going to be sanding a ton anyway, so if there's drips and runs, it's not that big of a deal. But this is not how you do your white or your golds or anything like that. You want to do those in misting little layers on there, but here it was a lot easier just to be a little bit more heavy-handed. After I let the filler primer dry, I usually do a whole day of waiting. Then I do Bondo glazing putty, and I do that on a lot of the top areas of the helmet. So the way that the print finishes, you know, if the nozzle, if it's laying like this, it finishes here. The top layers, sometimes they have stepping. So I made a note to make sure I get these all smoothed out with some Bondo glazing putty, anything that has a little bit of a hole or a really thick layer line. After the Bondo layer there and that sets up and dries and hardens, then I'd go over it with 120. Same thing, I have 120 on the detail sander for all of the back plate, and then on the helmet, almost exactly the same way. I'm not going to show you a million times of me sanding the same thing again and again. I'll show you finished products up there, but with it sanded, I go through with a sponge as well. I have a sheet for the detail sander and I have a sheet for the sponge, and I go through and do exactly like I did with the 80. And then after I brush that off, I then go right into 220 as well. So I hit it with the 220, get it even smoother and knock that down. And then that's ready for the next step. After 220, I go and I use a sandable primer. And so I use this kind of like clay red, and it really lets me see what kind of things I still have going on there. And so you're seeing it with the clay red. And then I go in for my last sanding, which is 320. So I take 320 on that sandable primer, and this is ready for me to start priming and painting. I missed taking a video of this, but you can see it now that it is masked off. But what I did between the sandable primer, I did 320, and then I painted it gloss white. So I used a paint primer, gloss white, did all of the back plate, all of the helmet there, and just coated the entire thing there. Like I said, you're misting it. Do not try to go and get full coverage in one go. Mist it, 10 minutes in between, then mist it again, and make sure you're getting, you know, all the covers as it goes on there. If you have to do 3 layers, do 3 layers, but do not go super heavy on this on your actual paint, because you will start to get runs, and we're not sanding anymore. So if you're not sanding anymore, you do not want to get runs. But as you can see, then we masked it. So I masked off all of the white areas. The back plate I just put off to the side. It was pretty much done waiting for clear coat. But the front of it, I masked off. Inside of the grooves of the cheeks are white. The eyes at the top are white. But I left the detail in the center where it was going to be black open and fine. So I just taped off all of the white areas, left it open, and then went with Rust-Oleum metallic gold, and that is what I use for the details there. That gold again, mist it, take your time, do not get heavy-handed. I know you're going to want to get inside all of the grooves and make sure everything is coated on left and right and up and down, but if you go over an area too much within one spray, you're going to get a run. So I really just mist it, take your time, do multiple layers, and it's going to come out a lot nicer, and you're not going to have to sand again. So for the black, I did it differently. You could go ahead and mask off the black details, but with the Do3D file, the details are very deep in there. So it's very hard to get tape in there nicely. So for me, I was confident that I could hand paint that. I've done miniatures, Warhammer miniatures, and done big projects like that. I've won painting competitions with that. So I was very comfortable with using brush paints and going through and painting the black detail in there. It's not as hard as you think, but if you don't feel confident doing that, then I would advise you going through before doing the gold, taping off the white, spraying all of it black, and then taping off the black and then painting gold. So your steps would be a little bit different there if you don't feel comfortable going through and brush painting. But brush painting was just a little bit easier and saved me so much time not having to mask off in between all of those grooves on there. And I think it came out great, you know, having the black in here hand painted. And it doesn't matter with you hand painting it, say a flat black or anything like that, because you're going to hit it with this 1K clear coat, and that's going to be a high gloss, whatever gloss you like. I use an automotive 1K clear coat that really works well with metallics. When you sometimes clear coat metallics like gold, they'll dull if you're using a bad clear coat, so you have to be careful with that. I use, like I said, an automotive 1K clear coat, high gloss, and it kept the gold nice and shiny, and then it also made that flat black that I was painting with the hand painting shiny like the original helmets. For the visor, I got like a 15 pack of COVID face shields. I've been using those for my Mandalorian helmets and everything like that. So I got one of those. I made a template. You're seeing that I have the template. I make it out of paper, line it up, draw inside of there, get it fit. And then I transfer that over to the COVID face shield. And then from there, I take 5% window tint. And that window tint, I put it on there. I peel off all the layers of the COVID shield, peel off the layers of the window tint, get some water in between there, lay it, and then I use a box cutter to trace out and get that all in there, squeegee out all of the water, let that dry a little bit, and then I hot glue that into the spot for the visor, and it works out great. It looks so good. It's super easy, super cheap and effective, so I definitely recommend that. The only problem I run with the face shields is they don't always fit helmets, so my Green Ranger, unfortunately, I cannot use that, so I have to get a different face shield for that. And then for the attachment, for this one, I did thick elastic up top, hot glued that in there, just had the one side hot glued, put it together. I used masking tape to keep the edges together and then hot glued the second edge in there. And then you'll see I used these Velcro circles and I cut them in half, so that way it was only kind of like a half moon on each side. And I just used Velcro there so that the bottom has an alignment that holds it there. The elastic does an amazing job of keeping the halves together, and there's a lip around the White Ranger helmet, but the elastic allows it to come back to a certain spot every single time, and I think that it came out great. And you're seeing the finished product. It looked awesome. I'm super stoked with how it came out there. It's a dream come true to make these helmets. So I'm super happy with how this thing came out. Sorry, we'll get to do this differently. So I'm super happy with how this came out. It was a, you know, childhood dream to start making Power Ranger helmets. I feel like these are the first helmets I ever saw as a kid that I ever wanted to do. You know, you being a Power Ranger dressed up for Halloween and having just a little half-mass plastic, I really think, you know, this has just been so cool to be able to do. I'm doing all of them. You can see I have some of the Lightning Collection stuff, but I really enjoy making them as well. But yeah, this is awesome, and it was a dream come true. But thank you guys so much for watching the video. If you learned something, you know, drop it in the comments below. If you have more questions, drop it in the comments below. Tell me about other helmets that you're excited about. I have a wicked Green Ranger that I did. I didn't film the process on that one, but the next video that's going to come out will be the Blue Ranger. I filmed all of that process and can show you all of the quirks to that helmet as well. So if this really helped you out, you know, help me out, like, comment, subscribe to those things. Watch videos, you know, have always been really helpful. The watch time here, you making it to the end, has been amazing. So thank you. I really, really appreciate that, and that helps me grow. But yeah, I will catch you guys in the next one. Love you guys. Peace.